Welcome back. Tonight, I bring you a story you won't be able to shake off. One of those tales that crawls under your skin and lingers long after the lights go out. So before we begin, turn everything off around you, focus on every word, and give me all your fear. What you're about to hear is the testimony of a man who crossed the border, but he didn't cross alone. He was accompanied by something far darker. My name is Raul, and this is my story. I don't even know where to start, because to this day, I still can't understand why I was the one who made it to the other side while the others were left behind in the desert. Some buried under the sand, others torn to pieces. I just wanted a better life, like everyone else. I left my hometown with nothing but a small backpack, a few bills, and the crucifix my mother gave me. Her last words were to pray every night, because the desert could swallow me faster than the misery of our country ever could. What I didn't know was that the real monster wouldn't be the desert, but the man who offered to guide us. There were 8 of us. A young woman with her little girl, a couple who never let go of each other's hands, an older man with tired eyes, 2 boys who couldn't have been older than 16, and me. 8 souls, all hanging on to the same hope to make it across the border. The Coyote showed up late. He just appeared out of nowhere, walking under the moonlight. A tall, thin man, face half hidden beneath a black hat. His eyes were sunken, his skin weathered and cracked, like he'd been alive for centuries. He never asked our names. He didn't even look us in the eye. He only spoke once, in a voice so rough it still echoes in my nightmares. "Follow me, and don't look back." That was the only warning, and we obeyed. The first night we walked under a massive moon that lit the desert like a graveyard of sand. The air was so cold it cut through our skin, and every step felt like it echoed forever in the emptiness. The little girl whimpered softly, and her mother tried to hush her with a lullaby, though to me it sounded more like a prayer. As we walked, I started noticing things. Empty bottles scattered among the bushes, torn backpacks, old shoes half buried in the sand. I asked the Coyote if they belonged to other groups. He didn't even turn his head. By the second night, we were 7. I don't know when the older man disappeared. One of the boys swore he saw him stop to catch his breath, and then he was just gone. No scream, no struggle, nothing. The Coyote just kept walking, like it didn't matter. How could he have fallen behind if he was walking in front of us? When I tried to ask, the Coyote's stare froze me in place. That wasn't the look of a guide. That was a predator watching his prey. By the 3rd night, I finally understood. We were crossing over firmer ground, the stars burning overhead, the air so cold it hurt to breathe. The woman begged for a rest. Her little girl wouldn't stop crying, and some of us worried the noise would give us away. The Coyote stopped, but not to rest. He drew a machete from his back, grabbed the woman by the hair, and without a word, slit her throat in front of all of us. Blood poured into the sand like it was raining red. The girl screamed. I froze. We all did. No one had time to react. The mother collapsed, drowning in her own blood. The Coyote looked at the girl for a long moment, then shoved her into the darkness. I don't know if she froze to death, starved, or was found by something else, but she never came back. Now we were 6. That night no one spoke. No one dared question anything.
It was like we'd all silently agreed, keep walking, pretend it didn't happen. The days became hell. The sun burned us alive, and the nights cut like knives across our skin. The couple began to fight. She was too tired to keep going. He begged her to push on. The coyote listened, and that was all it took. He walked toward them with that same calm that made my stomach twist. Without a word, he drove the machete into his stomach. The scream echoed through the desert. The woman fell to her knees, sobbing over her dying partner, and then came the crack of her neck, snapped like a twig. He left their bodies there under the moon and forced us to keep moving. Now we were 4. The boys, barely teenagers, sobbed as they walked. One whispered to me that he wanted to go back, that he'd rather be caught by Border Patrol than follow this monster any further. I told him the only thing I could think of: don't look him in the eyes. Just walk. Keep walking. But later that night, as we dragged ourselves through rocks and brush, I heard a muffled scream behind me. One boy was gone. Just gone. The other ran into the dark, calling out for him. The coyote caught him within seconds. He lifted the boy by the throat like he weighed nothing. The kid kicked, begged, sobbed, until his neck snapped, sharp and brutal. He dropped him like garbage. And just like that, there were 2. Me and the shadow that knew I was next.
What happened next is still hard for me to tell, because every memory feels like reopening a wound that never healed. There were 2 of us, me and another man whose face I can barely remember. Fear had erased his features. I don't know his name. I don't know where he came from. All I know is that he walked beside me, eyes fixed on the sand, as if looking up might break him even more. The coyote walked ahead, a machete strapped to his back. The moonlight shined over him, and I couldn't help but think he looked like an executioner, leading us straight to the gallows. The air was heavy. Every step felt like a sentence. We reached a stretch of desert where the sand turned dark with black stones, and in the distance I saw something that twisted my stomach. Wooden crosses. Dozens of them, some half-buried, some broken, rags hanging from them, torn backpacks, shoes, scraps of clothing scattered around. It looked like a graveyard in the middle of nowhere. And I understood. We weren't a first. The coyote stopped right in the middle of those crosses, and for the first time, he spoke more than 2 words. Only 1 crosses. That's what he said. His voice was rough, cold, like something he had repeated 100 times before. The man with me started shaking. I couldn't move, couldn't even breathe right. Then the coyote unsheathed his machete and threw it into the sand between us. The blade glimmered under the moon. The one who survives follows me. I didn't know whether to cry, run, or attack. The man next to me screamed and lunged for the machete, but the coyote was faster. He struck him in the face, knocking him down, bleeding. "Get up," he ordered. There was no way out. Running was useless. Somehow we knew he would catch us no matter where we went. The man staggered back to his feet. He looked at me, eyes full of tears, and whispered, "Forgive me." Then he leapt at me. We rolled across the sand, screaming, hitting, biting, clawing like trapped animals. My arms were bleeding, my mouth filled with dirt. I tried to push him off, but
desperation made him savage. And then my hand brushed against the machete. I grabbed it, and without thinking, I drove it into his stomach. The scream he let out still chills me to this day. His eyes went wide, staring at me as if I committed the worst sin imaginable. He collapsed beside me, trembling as his blood soaked into the sand. The silence that followed was worse than any scream. The coyote smiled, a dry, twisted smile, like this was exactly what he had been waiting for. "Let's go," he said, so I followed. We walked for what felt like hours. The sun began to rise, painting the desert in red. And then, in the distance, I saw something that twisted my stomach. Watchtowers, fences, and beyond that, the border. I had made it. But then I understood. It wasn't luck. It wasn't fate. It was a ritual. The coyote didn't guide migrants. He hunted them. He played with them, reduced them one by one until only a survivor remained. And that survivor, with blood still on his hands, was the only one he allowed to cross. A macabre fact I'll never truly understand. He left me at the edge, just a few steps from the fence, pointed to the horizon and, without looking at me again, said, "Run." And I ran. I ran with everything I had, heart pounding, guilt burning in my chest. I ran without looking back, even though every part of me wanted to make sure that demon wasn't following. I made it to the other side. I collapsed to my knees, crying, hands still stained with dry blood. I was alive, but part of me had died with the others. And from that night on, every time I close my eyes, I hear his voice again. Only one crosses. Thank you for staying with me through this story. Remember, here, every night, the darkest secrets come to light. If you dared to listen until the end, I invite you to subscribe and ring the bell, because the worst is yet to come. Leave your comment. I want to know, what would you have done? Would you have run or faced the coyote? And as always, give me all your fear.